Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Marcia O'Connor with the O'Connor Group, and this is Top 3, where entrepreneurs share their secrets and their mistakes. I'm so excited today to have not only a client of ours, but a dear friend of the firm. We have Meghan Freeman, and Meghan is with Abundant Life Partners, and she's going to talk about her journey, what she's doing, how she manages 5 kids, and so much more. So join us on this wonderful journey to hear more about Meghan and her adventure. Welcome to the show, Meghan.
Thank you so much.
So tell us a little about you. Tell us a little about your background. Tell us how we had met.
Yes, I am a licensed clinical social worker. I'm in Williamsburg, Virginia, and we met as I found myself running a business, which I did not intend to be doing, but it became a bigger business that had more people and needed help with people. So that is how I entered, kind of looking for something in the HR world, and that's how I ran across Marcia O'Connor. I like I said, I own a practice and we started in 2017 here in Williamsburg. It initially was just me. I always knew I wanted to be in the mental health field, always knew I wanted to help people in that way. Like most people in my field, I had a lot of personal experience with mental health struggles back in my teen years, preteen years. So I was really exposed to therapy, the world of being in counseling. I'm from Los Angeles originally, so back there, even 20 plus years ago, it was very normal to have a therapist. I moved out to the East Coast and realized that was a little less normal, especially towards the South. So it was something I was always exposed to. Always knew I wanted to do. I went to school at Washington and Lee, studied psychology and philosophy. I was really interested in just purpose and like why how to make a life of purpose was kind of something I was seeking after. So that's where the philosophy part came in. Did a lot of introspection there, and got my degree. But I also ended up meeting my husband while I was in college, and got married the day after I graduated college. And he was a Marine Corps infantry officer. And so at
Mhm.
that point, I kind of decided, I was going to go into school for a PhD, and I thought, that's not going to work because he's going to be moving all around and I'm not even going to be anywhere for 6 years straight. Plus, if we want to have a family, I don't know if I want to go into that much debt. I'm just going to, I can help people, I can support people. Figured I would do it on a volunteer basis around the military, especially, which I got to do a lot around families and things like that, and just raise our family. So that was kind of my plan. And we, had our first child. He was deployed while I had our first child. He was in Afghanistan. So did get to do a lot of social work, a lot of kind of supportive, just being around other moms and other military spouses. But then my husband decided he wanted to become a dentist. And so it was not a very natural transition from being an infantry officer to a dentist. So that was going to be 7 years more of schooling, about 3.5 kids in. And so someone had to go back to work. And so I went back to work, worked on my licensure, but I was working overnights in mental hospital in Hampton, and
Wow.
just to be able to kind of be with the kids during the day, do that at night. And it became very clear that that was not going to be sustainable when I got pregnant with our fourth. And so I was 9 months pregnant with our fourth at the mental hospital in the middle of the night in Hampton. Forming an LLC on the computers there. And so that is how the business started. And it was really cool. We just celebrated our 6 year birthday party for our company, and my team got me a big 6 year balloon, and I was like, perfect, I can bring it home to Browning because she's 6, and it was her birthday too. So
Oh my gosh.
so I
Resourceful.
yes, exactly. So it was perfect. So she got this awesome balloon, thought it was just for her, but it's like, no, it's kind of for the company. But she and the
It's
company were
awesome.
born at the same time. So that's how we started. And I was really, through my work, just being as a stay at home mom, I was with a lot of other moms who were just educated, successful, so resourceful. And I knew, I just had this thought, if I ever get to own a business, I want to employ moms because they will get the job done between 9 and 2. Um, just knock it out. And so I kind of had that idea, didn't know where it was going to go. And as we've grown, the biggest blessing has been that we are able to employ other people beyond just even therapists, like non-revenue generating positions that are, and that's always kind of my heart is like, can I find people who are trying to support their kids and their families and just need flexibility to do it. So that was kind of how we started, and we just were in the right field at the right time for COVID. Of course, it was really a pretty simple transition for us because I had, knowing my husband is still in the military, he did become a dentist, hallelujah, but he's a Navy dentist now, and I credit him with, he provided the stability for me to just take the entrepreneurial leap because we had the benefits. That was all I told him. I'll live on rice and beans, but we need benefits with 4, now 5 kids. So yeah, so that is kind of how we got started. And then during COVID, we have just grown. The need is amazing. And I just always, I got the great advice that people are more important than spaces. So we do have 7 locations or 6 locations now, but we have always waited, and just when the people come, I'm like, I'll find an office for you. I'll find an office for you. And we just have an amazing team. So
Well, it sounds like you're so good at juggling. You're gonna have obviously save a ton of money on your teeth for all your kids.
yes.
Having your husband
Well,
as a
he was an
dentist.
orthodontist. That would be
Oh,
like, that's the key.
it's
But yes,
true. But I'm sure he has friends in
yes,
that world. And, it's interesting because you just have to juggle things. And I think a lot of mom entrepreneurs, they're very good jugglers. And if you're not a juggler, you're going to soon learn to be a juggler. And the one thing we have in common is that you were an RA in college. I was an RA. And I
yes,
think there's something to be said about just constantly juggling things and getting things done, but also caring about people.
yes,
And I want to talk about that because what you do, I think, is so important. Mental health is definitely a hot topic all the way around. I think people say it's a hot topic, but they don't really know how to deal with it.
it's
And I think that they say that they do, but when it comes down and dirty, I don't think people realize that there's a lot of stuff going on in people's brains and heads right now that they're not really addressing. They're just skimming over the top. I mean, what are you seeing out there in your environment with your clients?
yes. I mean, it is as a business problem, as a human, it's painful to see, really. I mean, we are flooded with referrals, and I think a lot of it is, um, part of it is it's becoming more normal, and we're just understanding that mental health is health. And that's why when I started the practice, I called it Abundant Life Partners, because I really, it's counseling, but it's also, I love partnering with other entities because it overlaps. It's like if we have kids in school that are struggling with learning issues or bullying or something like that, they are going to end up coming to us because that's going to affect how you feel. So it's like, it doesn't have to be this pathological kind of organic thing in that human. It's really, we're all just trying to deal with life. And there, I think with COVID, it was just interesting because it was a collective trauma that everybody experienced. And so I think that really brought to the heart that it was, I mean, that's always been going on. Everyone's always had things in life they've had to deal with. But I
Hmm.
think that was just kind of brought to the surface that everyone now is like, oh, wait, we all do have something that we had to deal with.
Yeah.
And this is something that we can actually talk about because we're all experiencing the same thing versus when it's, in my personal life, oh, my aunt died, or something personal. This is something that everyone experienced simultaneously. So yes, we are seeing, I mean, and we're seeing across the gamut, couples, a lot of couples counseling, a lot of referrals, kids, teens, high school. We're right by William and Mary, so we get a lot of the college students. The telehealth world has kind of opened us up to be able to serve people throughout the state. Any state you're licensed in, you can see people. So I think we're able to reach some of the more rural areas, places where people otherwise hadn't been able to access care. And I think it's becoming more clear too how the mental health affects physical health and vice versa. So even in dentistry, I mean, if you have a painful tooth, then you're going to be feeling pretty lousy. And if you're too anxious to go to the dentist to get it fixed, then you're going to feel worse. And so it just all goes together in that way. So
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think one of the hot topics we keep getting asked is about, what do you think about the remote versus hybrid versus coming into the
yeah,
office full time? And I get constantly asked about this. Like, what do
yeah,
you think about this? Is this going to change? And I said, well, to be honest with you, I think for the young ones graduating college, I think it's been really difficult for them not to be in the office a lot. And they think it's cool to be remote. And they think that they're like, I'm hip because I'm remote. I can walk my dog at
yeah,
lunchtime. And I do think that's actually going against the grain because I think a lot of them are becoming very lonely. and
Yes.
they're becoming very, not coming out of your house, not
Yes.
going for the walk, not going to the gym, because it's easier just to sit on that couch sometimes and becoming very isolated. And so I'm a big proponent for the hybrid approach. I do agree with it, but I also think very respectfully, I think that if you're out of school, you should really be in the office as much as possible to
Mhm.
gather everything. I also think for mental health purposes, it is really what people and those kids need versus
Yes.
the other way around. I mean, what are you seeing out there and
Absolutely.
hearing on that topic alone?
Yes. Yeah. I think the whole intersection of mental health in the workplace now is so fascinating. And I'm sure, especially from the kind of HR standpoint of, because we're hearing it even, and with kids in school, the same thing. Like, I'm so anxious now because we have a lot of people who they've been home and isolated and it's comfy because you're in your own house. And so they're not practiced in going into an office setting, interacting with your boss face to face, having to go into a colleague's office and ask a question. And so all these things that we kind of take for granted as, yeah, they're uncomfortable, but we did them and you do them and you get over it. And people have not been experiencing. And so I think of it as a muscle that just hasn't been worked. And so it's really fascinating because then we'll get asked, from a therapist person, will you write a letter? Will you? And it's hard because it's like, yes, I agree. It makes you anxious to go into the office. Yes, I agree that it does make your life a little more challenging sometimes in some ways. And also for your mental health, I think it's ideal that you push through that and do it. And so it's a really, it's an interesting topic. And I think that for so many, just there's something about putting on clothes, putting on makeup, putting on an actual, even today, I was like, do I wear my workout shorts that I was wearing before? Or, do I just throw on my skirt so I feel professional, even though I'm standing here in my office? And you feel better when you dress the part and have to go interact with people. And so I think we're seeing a lot of the ramifications of that. It puts companies in kind of a catch-22 because the people are asking for one thing and you want to keep people happy. And that is, I would say, probably, I was thinking of like some of the sources of my success that, I think keeping your employees as happy as you possibly can be a real good thing. But then but is it keeping them happy? That's the question. So
Yeah,
yes,
that's a big question. I don't
it,
think they know the answer to that. I
no,
think they think it's cool and all, but I think
yeah,
what's happening is that they were actually hurting themselves. And actually, I think they're hurting their career chances too, because we were just talking about this yesterday with a bunch of CEOs. They said, listen, I hate to say this, but it's the ones that come into the office are going to get promoted faster because everybody knows them. Everybody
exactly.
understands them. They've seen them. They see their work and all too. If you hide behind basically the computer, no one really knows you. And
No,
so I think that's definitely, it's a hard nut to swallow, but I think that's the reality of it.
yeah,
If they see
yeah,
you, hear you, feel you, they're going to promote you. So I think
exactly.
that's area. But I think that it's funny when we did COVID, and I would tell people all the time, and I had these sessions of saying, "Hey, don't forget, don't only look on your older employees, but your younger employees, because now they have no friends around them. They haven't seen their
No,
family and friends." I said it's so isolating. They've never been in that circumstance before, so make sure you reach out to them. And one person said, "Thank you so much." And one person I called and was 25 years old, and he just melted down when I called him,
yeah,
and it was really heartwarming to hear, but it was also like, wow, the impact of just a call to say, hey, how are you doing? Everything okay? What else do you need? So it's
exactly.
really interesting. Now, your job, I know you got 5 kids. Obviously, you
Yeah,
have, a military husband. You are on the go, and you started a business. Now, top three is all about like secrets and mistakes. And
yes,
I have thousands of mistakes I can share,
yes.
but what are some of the top ones that you could share with us?
Yeah, it's so interesting because as I was thinking about it, I realized I think the three secrets, like the things that are my secrets and are also my mistakes in some ways, like the flip side of the coin. And I think about that the same way with mental health, that a lot of times our strengths, there's like two sides of the coin, and the opposite side is also our greatest weaknesses. And so I would say that's probably the same thing for me. I think as I've kind of talked about our culture and just that those firm values that I had even pre-COVID about needing to give people flexibility, especially we're a woman dominated field and with kids coming out of school. And the fact that I had a model that allowed my employees to continue to deal with homeschooling or whatever they needed to do and keep working, and that they felt supported, I think was definitely a strength of the culture. It also, I would say, is probably my biggest mistake is giving so much flexibility that what is sustainable when you have three and we actually started on 1099 model. So when you have, you know, one, two, three, four 1099s, and plus you're treating them differently anyway. And then converting that to a scalable W-2 model. The systems and processes were just not there because I mean, God bless my Shamika running my payroll. I had like 5 different payrolls that I was running. I had, different compensation plans based on what people needed. It was because I just wanted to meet people where they were. And I just really didn't
Yeah.
care about where are you in your season of life. Is it stability you need? Is it flexibility you need? Do you need to know that you have a monthly paycheck? Okay, great. We're going to do a salary for you. Oh, you just need to be able to work when you want to work because your husband's military and gone all the time. You can be an hourly part-time employee, so I was like really kind of, especially from an HR perspective, just doing everything differently for everybody based on what they needed. And that's clearly not sustainable. Now we have almost 40 employees. Like that would just, it's a hot mess. So I think that would be my biggest mistake, is not thinking through, is this something that's sustainable if I were to grow? To be treating everybody completely differently. And at the same time, I think showing that I cared about everybody and that they have a life outside of work and that they do have needs outside of work and that I am really passionate about helping them realize their career potential, whether, some people have different goals and things like that. That's also a strength. So,
Oh,
um,
yeah. Big time.
so yeah, and I think the same thing with just the people. I love people. I That's why I'm in this field. I realized that one of my strengths is I was asking my husband. He says, "You never say no," and it's like, no, I love finding out what people are interested in, and that's, I mean, I didn't even call it counseling because I was like, let's be abundant life partners. What if a dietitian comes by? What if someone with this idea comes in? Let's do it. I have this kind of like idea of the visionary kind of we could do this, we could do that. And so that I think was definitely a strength in terms of I'm high energy. I'm willing to, let's give it a go. If it fails, it fails. And I just kind of go with it. But then at the same time, it sometimes lacking, I'm learning to have some more clarity about what is our business model, what is actually profitable that we're doing. And I can't do it all. And so I need to be kind of a little more discerning sometimes, and I'm learning to be more discerning about, and that's where having a really good CFO comes in, who can kind of help you say, that's really a cool idea, Megan. However, that's not, you have a wait list of people here in what's actually creating profit in your business. Why are you doing that? So, and I can still do it if I am interested, but that has really kind of helped me to focus and narrow down a little bit, and be able to say no to things. Having a bigger team has really helped. I've learned that I am not the managing people is not my favorite part of it. I love all the people and I want to just say yes to them for everything. And that doesn't always work as you're growing. And so I was able to hire Chelsea Cassidy as my clinical director. And she is just gifted at loving people, but also knowing how to have boundaries and accountability, and just marrying those in just this beautiful way. And so that has been really, really helped in that area. And then even from the HR side with hiring too, I realized my skill set as a therapist doesn't really translate very well. In some ways it does into hiring, but I see the best in everybody and I'm like strengths based, and I see, I can, have a conversation and pull out their strengths, which is wonderful as a therapist. If you're trying to hire for a specific position, sometimes it helps to have a little more discernment about, yes, this is a wonderful person, but maybe they are not the right person for this position. And so
Oh,
just
yeah. It's
learning
the
my own
entrepreneur disease.
limitations there. Yeah.
Entrepreneurs all do that. We love everybody. We want to
I,
hire everybody. We want to make
yes, yes,
everybody's happiness life, and then you put it down. And I heard you're an EOS company. We're an EOS
yes,
company as well,
yes,
and we believe in that. But to grow from in 2017 from 1 to 40 is a lot of work.
it is a
Are they
lot.
all W-2 or are they 1099 or
They
it's a
are. I
mixture?
mean, we have one 1099 therapist left, and then the rest are, all of our therapists now are W-2. It
That's
is,
good. And
yes,
it's funny because people don't realize too when they say W-2, they're like, it's full time. I tell
yes,
people, like, you can do W-2, you don't have to be full time. It's just
no,
basically they get paid with taxes taken out. I
yes.
said
I think
it's more
it's
expensive
really,
to the employer, but it's
yeah,
totally worth it.
it's a big topic in our field because our field has traditionally been 1099. I tend to be um, fairly risk adverse. And so when my attorney said you need to go W-2, I said, okay, I'll do it. But I was a little nervous too because my father actually was a labor and employment lawyer in California. And so he's like, you don't want employees. Employees are, it's because California is a little different than Virginia. And so I've learned that there are a lot of benefits, and especially as you scale creating systems, there's just no way. I just felt for my poor client care coordinator, it was like she had 10 bosses at that point if
Yeah.
you have all
Yeah.
1099. So yeah, it really, and I think it allows me, I do have that heart to care for my employees. And so it allows me to do things for them that I wouldn't otherwise be able to do under the 1099 model, and allow them to grow in their career. So we've been able to promote people to leadership positions and things like that. So yeah, so it's been good, but definitely a lot of work, a lot of learning on the go. I'm realizing, talk about things that I wish I had done, is set foot in the business school at my university. I went to Washington and Lee, walked right past that commerce school every single day to go to the science building, and might have been a decent thought to step foot in there at some point, but
But no better learning than living and learning. And I
live
tell
and
people
learn.
all the time, you don't know what I don't know. I'm also involved with EO. I don't know if you're an EO at all down
Yeah.
there, but EO is Entrepreneurs Organization, and it's a great group. They have revenues or a million or more, but the idea is that we share ideas, thoughts, connection. Having a person to go to, like, what do you do here? I've never
Yes.
done this before. And it's basically just finding those answers out because your team is looking to you to know all the answers. And we honestly, I can tell you right now, I do not know all the
No.
answers, but I'm learning
No.
as we go along.
Yeah.
But EOS has definitely helped us along our journey. We've been doing it since 2016,
Yes.
and I swear by EOS. That's our whole company is all metrics and how we run things and all. But it's really amazing how it goes. Now with the people side of the house, because you're doing all that now
Yeah.
and managing those pieces, how are you doing that? Because you just mentioned you don't love it,
Yes.
but you like growing and building, and I totally understand that world.
Yeah.
How are you managing that? Because now they need performance reviews, now they need that annual evaluation, now they need do bonuses and all those calculations, and that's a lot more than you thought you'd sign up for, right? So
Yes.
how are you
Yeah.
doing that right now?
Yeah, so a lot of that I think is being able to, and it's that chicken and the egg, because it's like you have to grow to afford to outsource, but then you need to outsource when you grow, and so you're kind of continuously doing that. So yes, I mean Chelsea handles a lot of that on the people side. We have, and then we use the consultants, is really how we have been handling it, because we do like to keep a lot. In house and kind of being able to train our people up to do a lot of those
Yep.
HR tasks, but then knowing where our line of knowledge, we don't have that, and so being able to utilize the wisdom of consultants and has just really gone. And I think that's something that a lot of small companies, I'm learning. I'm trying to kind of spread that word to other small companies that if you think you can't afford something, you can, because you can, this fractional model. I mean, even I love my CFO is amazing. I'm not big enough to have a CFO, but I have a fractional CFO who's
Yeah.
amazing. And same thing with HR, with being able to leverage that really high level knowledge of a true professional, just on a fractional basis, I think is amazing. So that's really how we've been doing it, is a lot of consulting. We're still trying to, how many people we need. We really try to be very lean on the administration and leadership side, just so that we are insurance based. So we're very limited in how much we can affect our revenue. And I like to pay my therapists as much as I possibly can. And they're in high demand right now. And so we have to pay them well to keep them, and keep them happy. And so I really, we stay very, very lean on our expenses and overhead. But at the same time, we are at the point now where we're growing so much that we're like, okay, we do need a little more admin support and things like that. So it's always a balance there. And I think kind of talking about the thing that I think has made us, like, secret to success kind of thing, it has been, I'm very willing, I'm very high energy, I'm very, I work a lot. There's a lot of hustle there. I was going to say my secret is coffee. A lot of coffee, but that's also can be a weakness because it artificially buffers company free, where we really, yes, oh my gosh, I'm on cup 2. No, so it really does. It's like, I think, and I just had I was just thinking about this, like, I need to stop because I'll respond to emails immediately. I think that's been a secret to success, especially I've noticed down here. And I don't know if it's the South or something, but people don't respond to. My dad always taught me, you never let a piece of paper touch your hand more than once. Like, if I see an email, it's got to be responded to, which is a great strength.
Yeah.
However, it also, I think, has allowed us to continue with sometimes not as much support as we probably should have.
Yeah.
Because, and so I tell people when I see strong leaders, I said, sometimes you need to get out of the way so that you can actually grow. And I've seen that happen over the past year as I've given Chelsea so much more. We've exploded. So me stepping out of the way and still needing to do that more and more, I think.
You do, and it's hard because what's happening is you're in the weeds, you're not on it.
Yeah.
And I think with EOS, I know Hank is my implementer, and he and my coach, and he'll say to me, he's like, you really need to do that. And it took me a couple of years because I was
Yeah.
like wearing 5 hats,
Yeah.
and then I was like, you know what, I gotta do this. So now I had started with a director of finance part time,
Yeah.
and now she's full time, and thank God I have her because I feel like let's do an analysis on this and. I have really actual numbers in front of me, and I'm a numbers junkie.
Yep.
So I need to know my numbers every day. And then when I hear, I had one of my friends tell me, well, my EO guys, and I love them all, but a lot of them don't want to look at their numbers. And I was like, no matter what you do, how you do it, or why you do it, you need to know your numbers every single day,
Mm.
like have access somehow to see what they are. And so many of them don't. And I just was
Ah,
like, baffled by that,
yes.
because maybe it's the control person inside of me, probably is.
Right.
But it's just I need to know those pieces because I'm in charge of 80 lives, and if
Yep.
I'm responsible for that, I have to make sure that I have money for them, right? So
Yes,
it's
yes. I
crazy.
think in our field that is very, very common, and I think it's a combination. And I see it actually now in other fields too, and schools and things like that. But I think for me, for a while, a lot of it was the anxiety of, but it's such a catch 20. So there's avoidance of if I don't see it, I don't want to see it because it's going to make me anxious. But if not seeing it, there's so much more power in having that knowledge.
Yeah.
And I think recognizing that because it wasn't my strength or an area
Hmm.
that I understood generally, but it's not my wheelhouse completely.
Yeah.
There's a tendency to just want to avoid it instead of letting someone who actually knows what they're doing give give you some information in a real tangible manner. So, and then I think too, our field there's and it's hard because the making money. I mean, we want to help people, obviously.
Yeah.
That's why we
Always.
became therapists. And we do get, especially I went to school for social work, which is even more so like there's a little bit of a stigma with actually making money in what you're doing. But I see the benefit of how many more people we are able to help by having a healthy business. And so I kind of think of it as like a body. Like if you keep your body healthy, you can do so much more for other people. And so it's kind of the same thing with the business. If we keep it healthy, and as we grow it, we're able to support so many more employees and so many more clients. So
Oh, I love it. What's next for you? What's where do you want to take your company?
it's it's so interesting because I am not someone who had I know EOS is like the 5-year journey, the 5-year plan, and all of that. I mean, we do have some goals, but I don't. I honestly don't know. I love growing. I do, and I don't know though what form that's going to take. I like having the feel of a small business, especially for clients in our field. So that's part of why I have so many different locations. I don't want them to feel like they're a number and they're coming into this corporate just behemoth of a company.
Right.
And it's great because I think a lot of people in our area don't even realize how big we are. Even my friends have no idea. And so that's the feel I like. So I don't know how that will continue to scale. I mean, we are looking at a couple of other locations, mainly because we have therapists who live there, and I want to just put those locations where they live, and there's a need there. But right now, what we're really focused on is systems and making sure our systems are scalable in whatever manner that takes, whether it's more of some sort of pseudo franchise model of kind of giving get helping another owner do a similar thing, or us continuing to grow in that way. But personally, one of my big kind of EOS type goals is I know the delegate and elevate, and I'm really trying to get out of the weeds. I am very passionate about helping. My kids are at a small private school, and I really want to help that school thrive. And so being able to be in their classrooms and do things, use some of the knowledge that I've gotten from doing the business, just on a volunteer basis there. That's kind of my passion project kind of thing. And so I really want to make sure that I've got the business running smoothly so that I can focus my efforts there, and also be present for the kids. Because as I created this business for that purpose for everyone else, I think I'm kind of the last to jump on the train to actually get to enjoy the culture that I've created. And so that is something I'm working on personally, is shutting off my email, like trusting I have other people who can handle these things. And I need to put a little more boundaries around my own personal life. So I'm not always working.
Well, easier said than done,
It
especially
sure
for a
is, especially
female
when you love it.
entrepreneur.
I mean, I think that's the hard part, is that
Hmm.
um, obviously there are times that are hard and stressful, but I love it, also. So,
Oh, it's crazy.
yeah.
So much good stuff here. I can go on forever. I don't want
Yeah.
to take too much time. But what are you reading right now?
So I just finished When Women Lead, by Julia Borston. She went to my high school, so I picked it up, and it was actually really interesting. I've gotten it's been very validating, I would say, for me, because as a woman in leadership, and a mom who really kind of owns that mom wife role and loves that, being able to figure out how those aren't necessarily weaknesses, but actually a lot of them are strengths that have helped even in the business world too. So that's been a good read. I always traction the I read it over and over and over and over. So that has been a really good one for me too.
Yeah, Attraction's a great book. They have a new one out called Process.
Okay.
And so that's the newest bundle coming out. But I don't know if you ever gone to the conferences, the EOS conferences, they're really good.
Yeah.
But I would say they're probably geared for people who've just gotten into EOS, like the first and second year. But I just believe in it so much because it's a model that just works for us really well. So
It
pretty
really
cool.
does. It really
It's really
helps me
cool.
because I tend to be, and even learning about the term visionary integrator, it was just so freeing to be able to identify that these things that I've thought were, when I'm hitting a wall, it's because that's clearly not my gifting. And being able to really own that and own the weaknesses that also come with it, I think, are have been great.
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff.
Yes.
What's the one word you would say to tell other, specifically female entrepreneurs, and their journey in entrepreneurship? What's that one word you would tell them?
Ooh, I guess I would say grace. We just operate on a lot of grace. Grace for just because I think a lot of us are put a lot on ourselves and a lot on trying to do things right and kind of overthinking things. And so I think just resting in grace has really helped me, and giving grace and telling people that I need it, because I'm often working from car line. I'm working from the baseball field. So if I forget something or say something off, I need all the grace, and I'll give all the grace.
Right.
So
It's interesting, but that's a good word for use and all. Well, I can't thank you enough, Megan Freeman, to be in
yeah.
on the show today. It's always good to see you. If people want to get in contact with you, how do they do that?
So you can email me at my work email is mfreeman@abundantlifepartners.com. I welcome, I love hate with the emails, but I love them. And our website is abundantlifepartners.com. So
Well, I'm so excited for you. I'm so thrilled
thank
about your
you.
success. I think you're just going to get even better and stronger. Everybody I know in EOS gets better and stronger, but when you have a really good quality product like you guys offer, it just comes with it. And it's the name of the game. It's such a simple thing out there, but it's so much hard work behind it. And I wish you the very best of luck and all. And I'm just happy that we know each other, and I'm just sure we'll probably still stay in touch and do a bunch of stuff. But I'm just so excited for you. I love seeing women entrepreneurs do really well out there, and it's not easy. And with 5 kids, God bless you, sister. I think that's phenomenal, and definitely a staple out there, because I think people always say they can't, and you can just prove it. You can. And
Yeah.
so kudos to you, which is cool. Well, that's it today, peeps
And
out there. And thanks for listening today. I know there's so much going on, but as you know, with Top 3, you always learn secrets and mistakes out there. And this is Marcia O'Connor from the O'Connor Group. And until then, stay fun, have fun, and just, enjoy the grind. It's totally worth it. Talk soon.